Hey everyone, welcome back to the Heaps Creative Podcast, the show where we uncover creative archetypes. I'm your host, Tyler Jackson Chappell. In this episode, I sat down with Millie Bird, aka Chicky Ceramics, and the name does kind of give away what she does. Millie's a potter, and she uses those pots to talk about the interdependence between beauty and sorrow, pain and elegance, death and what it means to be alive. And she does that through these really beautiful shapes, as well as her really unique and distinct illustrative style that you see on a lot of her pots. As always, anytime I'm interviewing somebody who works in a visual medium, I do suggest go check out Chicky Ceramics so you can see what we're talking about in this chat, and also so you can have a deeper understanding of what Millie's talking about. I came away from this chat really thinking about the idea of success and what that actually means as an artist, because there's so many different ways you could measure it, and everyone kind of wants a different version of it. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Cheers.
Millie Bird, thank you for coming on the Heaps Creative Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
How did you get into ceramics?
How did I get into ceramics? Well, a couple of girlfriends of mine bought me a ticket to a class, a pottery making class, one-off at Summertown Studio for my 21st birthday. And the night came around and I had unfortunately double booked myself. And I was kind of like, oh, bloody hell, gotta go to this pottery thing, and got there and just basically fell in love with it. It was a hand building pottery making class, and I made this thing called a Jesus bowl. So it's like a fruit bowl with kind of made out of coils. So it's all got holes in it. And got it fired, it exploded, and when it exploded, and I could never see it, I think that really just piqued my interest. And I was like, well, I've got to get some clay and I've got to try and make it again. And so I bought some clay, started getting into hand building, slowly just expanded my collection of tools and glazes and clays. And then eventually got a wheel and a kiln, and one thing really led to another. Yeah.
Do you remember what the other thing you had booked for that night was?
A party, a 21st.
Right, yeah.
So I did duck out. I got to finish the class, got everything done, but yes, got to my party, got to do everything, just rocked up to the party late. But I often think to myself, oh my gosh, imagine if I hadn't have gone to the clay making class,
beers
totally, which would have been an awful thing to do. Side note, would have been very rude. But if I hadn't have gone, I would never have discovered pottery. And I, up until then, never really considered myself a very creative person. I think I always really associated being creative with being able to draw and paint with skill. And so when I found pottery, I just fell into it, and I felt like it was a language that I understood quite quickly and was quite obsessed with it quite quickly. And I think I just had a knack for it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm creative. This is like the key that has unlocked my creativity. Yeah.
Which is interesting you say that, because obviously a lot of your ceramic work has illustration as a part of it. Not considering yourself quote unquote creative prior to that, what was that leap to feel like, okay, I want to add this element to what I'm doing?
I remember the first time I added it and I was like, oh, cool, okay. So my skills in illustration were very poor, and I had no theory behind any of my drawings. I was just drawing shapes and hoping for the best and rubbing out and drawing again and rubbing out and drawing again 1,000 times over. And I've always been really interested in photography and film photography, and I got into taking photos when I was 10, 11, 12, and during primary school and high school gradually built a collection of cameras and got into videography. And so I think I've always been quite interested in being able to tell a story. I've been very interested in storytelling through imagery and illustration. And so when I started drawing on pots, I found that even though I wasn't the best drawer, the fact that it was on a pot or a cup was quite forgiving, and they just work so well together. Now that I'm a better illustrator, I'm able to kind of articulate better what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I think the surface of a pot is such a forgiving. It's almost like a pot is kind of, I don't want to say sarcastic, but it's not so serious, you know? It doesn't take itself as seriously as a canvas. And so I think that was a really nice way for me to just experiment with illustration. And I always knew that there's this huge curveball that's coming at this piece when I put it in the kiln, and it may die. And so I didn't have that attachment to my pieces. And so, yeah, it's just a nice way for me to expose myself to illustration. And over the years, I've just learnt more and more and built my skills, and yeah.
It's interesting that you say you picked up photography at 10 but didn't consider yourself creative.
I know. And I look back on it and I go, of course I was creative. And I had people telling me I was creative, but I never took art in school, and I think I just never put the time in, like never nurtured my creativity, because I just had this belief that it wasn't me.
What was drawing your attention besides that?
In terms of creative pursuits?
Or even just like drawing you away from thinking you're creative, even though you were doing something inherently creative?
Well, I think I felt from fairly early on that I wanted to and should be in an academic career. Without really realising it, I think I had put those pressures on myself from a very early age. I have parents that are in very academic careers, so I think I just funneled myself down that road very early on. And then the older I got, the more I started to think seriously about where I wanted to go with my career. And in year 10, 11, 12, I started thinking about uni and ATAR, and a big one was money. I was at that time really motivated by earning money. And so I picked whatever courses would earn me the most money, basically. And that was what informed my decisions with what topics I took in year 12 and what I spent my time doing. And so it's not until I've finished school, done a degree or started a degree that I really hated, which was optometry. Very high ATAR to get in, very challenging course, very uninspiring to me, and really not what I'm meant to do at all. And now I'm a physio, and I have a job as a physio, and I earn money from being a physio. And I realise that I have been so happy over the past 6 years of my life in uni when I've had no money and been on the dole. And money is actually not something that I even really want that bad anymore. And so that coinciding as well with spending more time being creative, and that just really fulfilling me and making me feel great about myself and makes me feel so happy. It's just made me realign to the point where I have a job as an artist, and I just never ever, I think back to myself in year 12 when I was just working so hard to get the best ATAR possible. Never ever would have thought that I would be in this position. So I think I just, cut myself a bit of slack and took the pressure off myself a bit.
Definitely, like, I want to put a pin in that, and we'll kind of come back to it later as far as balancing work and a creative life. But do you think having those kind of pursuits where maybe you weren't super passionate about it but still realized you had to work really hard has informed your career as an artist? Because I think a lot of people, when they look at people who are making a living out of art, think that every single day you're just so stoked to get up and make work, which a lot of the time you are, but there are days where, especially when it becomes a job, you have to just do the work, even though some days you don't feel like the work. Do you think that having that, I don't know if it was a forced work ethic, but it sounds like maybe there were definitely times where it was a forced work ethic, has helped your creative practice?
Yes and no. I think the work ethic that I had at that time was different, because I was spending a lot of time in front of the computer and in front of books and writing and learning and writing assignments, and whereas now my creative work is so much more different, and there's a lot more talking with people and arranging commissions and arranging workshops and coming up with ideas of my own. And just to touch on that, that was a big thing why I was so interested in studying something like optometry or physio, because I was really drawn to the fact that when I finished that degree, I would be an X and I would be able to get a job as that thing. I was never drawn to having to forge my own path, which, funnily enough, is what I'm doing now with my pottery, having to forge my own path and make up my own ideas. And so I don't know that I have a particularly good work ethic, to be honest, because I don't know. Hey, I think I work as a physio, right? So I do that 3 days a week. And so that's my steady income, which is nice because it takes the pressure off my pottery. And so whilst I have 2 or 3 days a week that's technically dedicated to my pottery, if I don't feel like doing it, I don't, because I have
the bills get paid.
The bills still get paid, which is a beautiful thing. But also I've recently really been grappling with, is that holding my art practice back? And could I be achieving so much more if I just was forced to do pottery to pay the bills, do you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't ever work hard at pottery because I love pottery. And as soon as it feels like hard work, I just stop doing it. Like, there was a period a couple of years ago where I was doing a lot of commissions and working really hard, and really quickly the shine started to wear off. And so I find, for me personally, when I feel like I'm slogging it, it is less enjoyable for me. And when it becomes less enjoyable, then my love for the art starts to fade, and I have less of a tendency to want to do it at all. So, yeah.
So is that the drawback? Are you worried if that's kind of the only thing that's bringing money in, and you kind of get to that point that you kind of just got to push through it?
Yeah, like the drawback as in what
why?
Do you mean?
Maybe you haven't taken that step yet, or what's kind of holding you back?
I'm scared of not making any money. Is a big
a scary
drawback.
thing. Yeah.
I'm scared of not making any money, and I'm scared of failure. But I know that most likely, let's say hypothetically, I were to stop physio and do pottery full time, I know that most likely if I put energy into it, it would grow and great things would happen. So I think I'm at a bit of a precipice in my career where I'm like, do I send it down the physio route Do I send it down the pottery route, or do I stay with this balance that I have right now that I'm actually very happy with as well? Yeah, it's a tricky one.
And there's like obviously pros and cons to like all three of those parts. And I think most of the people I've spoken to are in a bit of a like hybrid kind of making artwork with another thing that helps support them. I think we like culturally have this romanticism of either the starving artist or somebody who dedicates their whole entire lives to a pursuit. And I think I was definitely, especially when I was younger, guilty of like falling into the glamorization of that. But that's not how most people live, and that's not even how most artists live. And most people who have like a really rich, fulfilling, creative life don't necessarily live that way. So yeah, I guess pros and cons to everything.
Yeah, and I think I'm at a point in my life, being still quite young, I'm 27, where I'm looking to people who are further along in their career as role models. And like I look to physios that are further along in their career as role models, and I think, do I want to be like that? And I look to artists that are really established and have been doing what they do for decades. And some of the artists that I really admire are full-time, and some artists that I really admire aren't full-time. And yeah, it's a good reminder as well that you don't have to be a full-time artist to really make it. But
it's like, what does quote unquote making it
what
mean?
Is make
like,
it? Yeah. Absolutely, as an artist. And should you really strive to make it as an artist? Because I heard in another podcast that I listened to called The Creative Kind, maybe you've heard of it, and someone on there was saying, you're probably not going to be rich and you're probably not going to be famous. And I loved that, because it was like, okay, good to know. I can put that aside. Maybe I will be, but I'm not. That's not going to be why I do this. That shouldn't be why I do this. So, yeah.
Why do you do it?
Do pots?
Yeah. Make art.
Oh, why do I make art? Well, I make art because I think I have things I want to say. And I think I've realised in the past little while that I'm quite a sensitive person, and I used to think that was a bad thing, but I've realised actually that's a really great thing, especially as a creative person, because I feel things very deeply, like I'm super sensitive to scary movies and violence and suffering and sadness, but I'm also super sensitive to things that are just overwhelmingly happy, and like I'm a big crier and all this sort of stuff. So sometimes I'll, for example, listen to a song and just be obsessed with it and be like, what does it all mean? And a way for me to figure out that is through making a pot about it. And so like oftentimes my pots are made with one song just on repeat, and I'm kind of expressing my experience of that song through that piece, or a book that I've read that's just obsessed me. You know, when like you read something or you see something and you just want to know more and you can't figure it out, and you're on Reddit and you're trying to figure out what it all means, and no one has the answer about what this piece of work means. And for me, making pots is a nice way of expressing that, I guess. My experience of the world and other pieces of literature and other pieces of art. And yeah, so I think that's why. I think it's hard to describe, but I have a need to say my thing.
I think this is something that probably answers this question, but it's something I always find interesting with potters. Seem to maybe grapple with this more than other artists. Do you consider yourself, and I'm sure there's a lot of reasons for that, but do you consider yourself an artist or a craftsperson?
I've never thought about myself as a craftsperson. I grapple with being a ceramicist first a potter, though.
Okay. What is the difference to you?
Well, to me, a potter feels less serious, whether a ceramicist feels more serious. So maybe that's a nice, comparison. An artist versus a craftsperson. I tend to call myself a potter. I prefer the way that a potter sounds because it sounds less serious, as opposed to calling myself an artist or a ceramicist. Because I don't know, I feel like, I guess I just don't have the belief in myself to be titled an artist yet. Do you know? Like, I've only been doing it for 5 years, and I also have a job on the side. I always call myself a physio when someone asks me what I do. So yeah, I've never called myself an artist. I have some sort of, I don't know what it is, to be honest, but I have some sort of holdback about that. I don't think I take myself seriously enough yet.
It's
to
such
call
a tough
myself
one.
That.
Yeah. I've
It
grappled
is a
with
tough
it
one.
a lot. Like, there was a point where I was making a lot of art and was calling myself an artist, and that was like, my wife's a big like, you got to speak it into existence, which I really appreciate, and there is definitely something to that. But like I've said it before, part of the reason I started this podcast was I was just drawn in so many different directions, like from ceramics to painting and writing and all of these different creative expressions. But yeah, I hadn't put the time in, and there was people who I was interacting with who had spent their lives dedicated to one specific creative practice or one craft. And I worried that and this isn't to say anyone should or shouldn't call themselves an artist, this was just how I like conceptualized it. I didn't want to disrespect them because I was so drawn to so many different things by calling myself an artist.
That's such a good point. And I think that's probably something that I've felt as well, with that, really realising it. But I think if you don't, like, I like what you said about your wife saying to speak things into existence, because I think the second you take yourself seriously and start acting like what you want to be, you'll be it. And things will come to you and opportunities will come to you. And up until quite recently in my career as a ceramicist, I've been very passive and have been very much like, I'm not a real potter and I'm not a real artist, and I'm not taking myself that seriously. And I think that if I were to continue to have that opinion, I would stay where I am as a potter and still have a lot of fun and have a beautiful career. But where could it possibly go if I decide to take myself seriously and, you know, not act so blah blah blah, you know, so casual about it all.
And there's definitely that, like, if you meet someone and introduce yourself as an artist,
their
entire
faces light up.
Yeah,
like,
and their entire experience of you is as an artist. They don't know that you've been grappling with this for years on what to call yourself. They're just like, they say they're an artist, they're an artist. Like,
yeah. It's like, it reminds me of when I first got with my partner 6 years ago, and the first couple of weeks we were girlfriend and boyfriend, introducing him as my boyfriend. Like, I felt like I couldn't say it. It just didn't feel real. And that's how saying I'm an artist feels. It feels like I'm an imposter still.
But nobody else bats an eye.
Yeah, and no one knows, exactly. No one knows. And no one, I think, well, maybe they do, but no one should judge you for confidently saying, I'm an artist. And I think being an artist is such an exciting thing to be in this era of AI. I think it's like, yeah, it's an exciting time to be someone who is making original work from their brain. Yeah.
And like you said, saying something that you feels like need to be said. Which I was wondering, like you said, you haven't been doing it for that, that long. I guess that's a subjective thing. But like you do have quite a distinctive style and voice. And there's this like weird sense of nostalgia in a lot of your work. But I'm not sure if it's your nostalgia or like this societal, like fictional nostalgia. Where does that come from?
I think it's a fictional nostalgia through the lens of my interpretation of it. Like I say, I was super inspired by film photography, and I think back to things like Puberty Blues and reading Tim Winton's books and just feeling very connected to the images that were being put forward, even though I didn't have any personal experience of them. But I also felt like they were kind of my experience because I had witnessed, these photos or a TV show or a book and had seen them through the lens of my own experience. And so, yeah, I think I've never really thought about it. And it's really nice that you say that it's nostalgic, because that's definitely what it is and that's what I'm aiming for. But I think a lot of it is fictional. Yeah, fictional nostalgia.
And like you said, I think obviously you've had these experiences with other people's art. Having that kind of removed from like reality, but only very slightly, invites even more interpretation for people when they're engaging with your art.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, totally.
Besides, like you said, music and film, I also read on your website that you draw a lot of inspiration from like where you live, being near the beach. Was that like part of the reason you moved to the beach? Was something you were craving, or was that something that happened after the fact?
I think I've been really lucky by chance, to be honest, for most of my life to live really like a stone's throw from the beach. I grew up in Largs Bay, and I can remember every single night after school, without fail, we would go down to the beach in summer. My mum and my dad and my sister and our dog. Every single night we'd go down until we got a pool, and then we started hanging around the pool. And then we lived in the suburbs for a little while, but still not far from the beach. And then we moved down here, and being down this end of the coast where there's just this constant, which I'd never had down in Largs, and a whole different ecosystem, and everything about this beach is just like so different from Largs. It's just, been a whole nother experience for me of coastal living. So it's a big inspiration for me, the beach, but also not so much necessarily the beach, but the culture of the people that interact with it, I think, is probably really what is interesting to me, more so than the place itself. Yeah.
How long did it take you to stop hearing the waves?
Oh, good question. I don't think very long.
No,
I would say
when we moved down, it was the same thing.
A couple of days, a week. Yeah.
Which it's such like a great or terrible representation of the way you interact with like beautiful things, is like when you experience them, I don't want to say too much, but constantly they become a bit blind to them. Yeah, I recently spent some time in Central Australia, and the silence there in the morning and all day is just like nothing, can't hear anything, and that is very beautiful as well. And maybe it's the unfamiliarity of it that makes it beautiful, and then when you're used to it, its beauty wears off a little bit. Did you make any pots about it?
No, I don't think I have made any pots about Central Australia yet. Yeah, I'm very interested to, because we're moving up there, I'm very interested to see how that impacts my work. It will be, I have no idea what to expect, because the beach is a pretty reoccurring theme in my work. So it's a bit daunting.
It'll be really interesting to see how it evolves. Like, obviously with Instagram and your website and things like being sold, you're constantly taking photos of your work as it's made. Do you keep any other record? Like, do you keep like a journal or sketchbooks or?
I don't.
Which I guess leads me to like, what is your full process? Do you plan out a piece beforehand? Does the illustration come first? You're like, this is the perfect vessel to hold this, or is it just like a get on the wheel or get some clay and go crazy?
I tend to have a bunch of cups all lined up, ready to go. I make a lot of cups, all lined up, ready to go. And when an idea comes to me, then I pick one up and paint it on there. And I never have a plan. It always just evolves as I draw and then eventually paint on it. But I never have an idea in my head from the very beginning when I get on the wheel. That's all. When I get on the wheel, it's kind of like meditation time, and it's just one after the other, repetitious. It's really nice. And then they're all sitting there lined up, and then something will just trigger, and then I have this idea, and I go about putting it on a pot. And there's not really any one formula that I use, to be honest. It kind of, I do a bit, and then I look at it, and then I see what else needs to happen, and then I look at it, and then sometimes I just throw it across the room and it breaks. And that's great. That was that cup's journey. And other times it just comes together like perfectly. Yeah.
And obviously with ceramics, there's a lot of like detachment because there's so many points in the process where it can go to shit.
Yeah.
And I guess, and you mentioned kind of you've learnt to not be as attached to your work. Are there certain pieces you're more attached to than others, despite that fact that it can all go wrong at any point?
I only get attached to them when they're finished and done. Yeah. Then I really love them. But up until then, I always know that this could turn out not how I'd planned. Yeah. Kind of save a little bit of love for my heart in not getting too invested. But it's always really disappointing when you open up a kiln load and it hasn't worked out. It's really disappointing. Like, it will never not be disappointing. And I think I'm always a little bit attached to everything that I put in, because everything I paint takes me a long time and uses up a lot of energy, and I never make things twice. So if it didn't work, I probably won't make it again, because when I was making it, I was really in it, and when I made it, when I finished painting on it, that idea had been expressed. And even though it didn't get to come to fruition and didn't get to be sold and people didn't get to see it, it's like I've kind of scratched that itch a bit. So when a piece comes out of the kiln and it hasn't worked, it was like, oh, that would have been really, really good, but it can't happen now. Like, just because I don't feel like doing it again.
It seems like you're actually adding another layer in of not being attached than like most ceramic artists.
Yeah, and like, even though I would feel sad that piece didn't work, I still don't feel sad enough to try and do it again, because it's just wouldn't feel good, wouldn't feel fun.
And that's actually a pretty good segue. Like, before we spoke, like, I'd send out questions to everyone and kind of gauge some of the things that they're interested in as far as this conversation goes. And something you mentioned was like the commercial versus like more small batch approach to making ceramics. Do you think that feeling of expressing an idea and it being the process that's the important part, do you think you'll stay in that small batch kind of realm because of that? Or do you think you'd ever move into more like, I don't want to kind of devalue it by say like pumping out similar pieces, but obviously to make it a more financially viable career.
think about this a lot, and I don't know, to be honest. I just see what every year brings me. I think that to shift my current practice into being more commercial would actually be a huge shift, and it would change it would fundamentally change what it's always been, which has been handmade, one-off pieces. And when I make something, I really think about it first and foremost as being a piece of art that just so happens to be on a cup. So I think there's an expectation that cups should be within a certain price bracket, which is very reasonable, I think. But it is a bit sticky when, sometimes the price to time it took to make value is a little bit. It's getting better as I'm getting more skilled, but I don't know. I don't want to say never, because it could, but I think if I were to make what I do more like pump it out, I would have to rebrand just about. Yeah.
You kind of brought up a really interesting point as far as like making pieces that are essentially functional, like homewares, I guess. Do you think that adds value or takes it away?
Oh, sadly, I think it takes it away.
Which is crazy.
It is, because I think it's the fact that it's breakable and it's supposed to be used, and the more you use it, the more likely it is that it's going to get broken one day, which I totally get. And it's hard to, I don't know, like, it's kind of strange probably for a lot of people to put a cup on a shelf and just have it be on display. And I wouldn't necessarily want that either. Like, I want people to use my cups and I want them to be well loved, but there is a risk when you buy an $100 cup that it will break and it's done then, like, you know. So yeah, it's tricky. Like, I think the fact that it's functional just pulls the price back constantly, and especially for something like a mug. I think a mug is such a unique vessel because it's used every day and it's very special, but it should be durable, do you know? And ceramics are innately delicate. So I think that pulls the price back. But then you look at something like a vase or a decorative plate, and those can be super, super duper expensive. So yeah, it's tricky. Like, it's been really tricky to find that. And sometimes I feel just like a dickhead for charging $100 for a mug. Like, but then I know there's no other way that I could do this.
And I think it's also something like, unless you've kind of gone down the rabbit hole of making ceramics, it's expensive. Like, as somebody who like buying the clay, and like you said that you have your own kiln, which obviously the setup for that is massive and uses a lot of power. But if you don't have your own kiln, it's very expensive to make even a cup.
100%.
Like, and then like you said, because yours are individual pieces that you're making, you're painting, like it is, if you were to work out like the hourly rate, even at $100, you're not paying yourself very much. Yeah. But I think what's also crazy about, like you said, the value being pulled down is, we spoke about this in my conversation with Nathan, and he was talking about it in the context of like a handmade board. But I mentioned to him, like, I had a Gerry Wedd mug that I loved, and my daughter broke it after like maybe 3 months. But then it did just turn into an art piece, because I know the amount of time and effort he put into crafting it, painting it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's why you pay for a hand-painted, handmade piece of art, is because even if it does I actually think the functionality, shouldn't draw the price down, because even if you lose that, you still have a beautiful handcrafted piece of art.
Yeah, and and I've got my own very precious Gerry mug, and it's my favourite mug, and it was expensive, but I didn't think twice about purchasing it, and I wouldn't think twice about purchasing many more, because it is really durable. I don't have a child, so I don't have that aspect, but it's just a joy to use, not just to look at, but to actually hold, and everything is amazing. And there's a certain market, obviously, that appreciates that and notices that and derives a lot of joy from that. And so for me, when I buy a Gerry Wedd mug for $80, $100, it's like, that's cheap. Do you know, for what I get out of it and the joy that gives me, whereas there's a big market that derives a lot of joy from getting a bargain from Kmart. And so handmade ceramics will never be for everyone. There's a market there that you've got to tap into,
Yeah, but that's the spiel. Everyone should at least consider a version of, I think, something intentionally made.
But so many people just value getting things cheaply, just want to get something cheap. That is the first and foremost, and then second is whatever else comes next, which there's AI made things. Some people froth them, love them because it's cheap.
Yeah. Oh, again, that whole nother rabbit hole. But something like you did mention, you've grappled with charging what you charge for a piece. How have you wrapped your head around pricing? Was that something you got guidance on, or was just like, this feels right? Did you work out an hourly rate? Because I think for so many, especially early career artists, pricing is one of the most daunting parts of the whole endeavour.
When I first started making pots, as probably a lot of people do, I was just using glaze, so just any sort of coloured glaze that I'd buy from the pug mill. And so I was selling those, and I had a certain price point that I had those at. And then when I discovered illustrating on my piece, I had quite a good understanding of how much extra time that added then to the process. And so I was able to go, okay, well, I'm selling these pieces that are just glazed for this much. I'm probably going to need to double it at least to account for the fact that I have spent the time painting on this and that it's one-off. But even still, when I first started, my work was a lot cheaper than it is now, which it needed to be because I had less skill. And I think it was set at a good price at that time. But it's been really interesting, especially with commissions, which I don't do a lot of at the moment. But when I was doing a lot of commissions, when I first started doing commissions, I was charging $80 for a commission mug, which is just way too cheap. And people would walk all over me. It wasn't really my piece, it was their whole thing. And I was just the person that could draw and paint on a cup and could make a cup. And so when I put my commission prices up, it was fascinating to see how the people that were interested in my work, how that changed. And now people who order a commission from me just fully basically leave it to me. They give me some pointers and they pretty much let me go. And that is personally how I like it the best. So,
which I think that's a really interesting point, is pricing for the clients that value you.
Yeah, because there's when you price your pieces too high, you're missing out on a certain market. But also when you price your pieces too low, you're missing out on a certain market as well that is at that higher price point. So yeah, I'm really happy with where my prices are now. But I remember when I took, like, I think I used to sell my cups for $80 and now I sell them for pretty much $100 each. And that jump was really big. And I was chatting to my dad when I was in that time frame of thinking, okay, I'm going to pop my prices up and I'm going to need to let people know. And yeah, he just was like, absolutely put them up. You know, like, if people want it, they'll pay that much. And yeah, a lot of the times I think I've had people more often than not have told me that my work is maybe undervalued as opposed to being too expensive, which is really nice. Like, we're always our worst critic, aren't we?
Yeah, and if you don't value your work, who else will? But I think what's really amazing to hear this is, even though, like you mentioned, you have like a steady another job that you don't necessarily need this to make money, it doesn't sound like you've let that devalue your creative work, which I think would be a very easy trap to fall into. Like, especially what you said, like your motivations for making work and why you do it. It would be so easy to be like, oh, well, like, I'm doing this because I have something to say and it's not about making money. But it is like, it's worth something. And it's really hard to, again, if you don't value it, other people won't value it. And for better or worse, from a societal standpoint, monetarily is the way we seem to do that.
100%.
But no, like, kudos for landing in a place where, you haven't let those factors dictate the value of your creative work.
Thank you. I think I've always kind of had the idea of just keeping my foot in the door of taking it, making it a full-time thing one day. And so that's probably also what has informed where my prices are and how, I guess, professional I kind of try to be on Insta and stuff. No, I don't know if I'd call myself professional, but, you know, like having a bit of a brand and putting in a bit of, putting an image forward. I think I've always just had the idea in the back of my mind that if this continues to get better and better, I might just do it full time. Yeah, and I think that would be the dream, really.
Which you do, like, again, you have a very kind of recognizable style in the work. But again, also on social media and your website, like, there's definitely a brand voice. And the word brand is like...
Sounds commercial,
but it's not.
Right?
It's just like, your actual personal brand.
Yeah.
Was that, like, from the beginning, you were like, did you have a really clear, this is what I want it to be, or was it just kind of professional? Or were you like, Chicky Ceramics is going to be this?
No, it wasn't like that. And it hasn't been easy to find my style. It's been hard to find my style. I was heavily influenced by other people, obviously, like in the beginning when I didn't know what to do, like, you copy people, right? So, you know, I did that for the first year and got a lot of inspiration from various potters online. And I remember the first time I saw Gerry's work and was just like, oh my God, that is amazing. I want to do that.
You've got a bit of Gerry in your work.
Oh yeah, no, my work used to be like purely blue and white as well. And I just was completely in love with his image and everything he was doing and just loved it. But was very, you know, cognizant of the fact that I'm going to need to change it up if I want to take myself seriously. And I'm going to need to find my own style and my own voice. And that was when I started experimenting with colour. And now I use a lot of colour in my work, and it's quite a pillar for my work, I think, all the colour that I use. And it was really interesting because when I first started gaining all these followers on Instagram, it was when I was doing this blue and white stuff, because it's beautiful, like, it's so gorgeous, people love it. And getting all these followers and getting all these commissions, blue and white, blue and white, blue and white, blue and white. And then I started to feel a little bit self-conscious about the similarity between my work and Gerry's work. And I pivoted closer to where I am right now, and interest in my work really backed off for a while there, because Instagram followers can be quite fickle. You can get a lot of followers, or at least you used to. I don't know if it's quite like this on Instagram anymore, but you can get a shit ton of followers from one post or two posts, which is what happened to me. So I put out a couple of posts and that were really popular and just gained all these followers. And so then when I pivoted my style, a lot of them left and there was much less engagement in my work. And that was a moment of shit, like, what? I'm going to need to carve out my own voice again. Like, I need to carve out my own creative voice, and I need to just keep figuring this personal style thing out. And yeah, there was a few, I guess if you scroll through my Instagram, there's kind of been a few different iterations. It's kind of like a few different layers that have led me to where I am now. But I still don't think I'm there. I don't think I'll ever be there. But I feel like I can say, yeah, like I have my own look now, and it wasn't easy to get there, but I'm really happy with where it is now. And I just love the colour. I think the colour is something that I've like really enjoyed putting on my pots. Yeah.
I was actually chatting with Amanda Wesley, and she was talking about a similar thing, is like you become known for a very specific style, and then as soon as you try to evolve or pivot in another direction, people don't necessarily love it. And in a lot of ways you are like a prisoner of your own success.
Yeah.
Which is really like, I guess, that notoriety, especially if you have a style that does feel authentic, I could imagine would feel pretty confronting.
Yeah, and when I was doing the blue and white, it did feel very authentically me. It felt very easy to do. And so, but I think you can pivot, and there's always going to be backlash from people who have loved your work. But like, I think about music artists who every time they bring out a new album, it sounds different, and there's always backlash. And then I think about some of the people that I love to listen to, and they bring out a new album and I go, oh, really? I hate this. And then in 4 weeks' time, it's like all I listen to. So you kind of bring people with you, and if you were to stay the same, it's like you might as well go commercial, because you're just there for the market, really. Hey, like, you're not actually going through your own journey as someone who is creative.
I was listening, this is a while ago now, so I might like attribute this quote wrong, but I think it was Billy Collins, the poet, who was saying there aren't actually any original voices. Every creative is just an amalgam of whoever they like, or whoever's influenced them. And that in and of itself is unique, but you could really, if you looked close enough, be able to figure out who somebody is influenced by.
Yes.
And it's just going to be a different combination for everyone.
Absolutely. And there's, nothing has not been done, you know, like it's all pretty much been done. And that's not a bad thing though. Like, I think it could be like, people throw that around like, oh, there's nothing new kind of thing. But that's what makes new great art, is a new person's interpretation of their influences. Totally. Your latest project just dropped. Wait, it's dropped. Drops on a couple of days.
Right, so by the time this episode comes out, it will be out. What was the inspiration for that? Was it that fictional nostalgia?
Oh, probably a little bit, yeah. So this is the first shop update that I've ever done that is a themed collection. So up until now, I've just made a random assortment of things. Anything could be just the most random collection of various things, and put them up all together online. And this time I've decided to make them all around a theme, which has been really fun because I can market it like really directly and build anticipation around it, and just focus my attention on that theme, and also focus my awareness to the world around me around that theme. So this theme is cars, and I love old cars. I don't know anything about them. I'm not a car person. I couldn't tell you what they're called or anything or any of the specs. But I just really love the way old cars look. And I was never a car person, but when I first got with my partner, Riley, he was a car guy, and he hid it for the first couple of years that we were together. And then I realised he actually knew a lot about cars and really
Is that
loved
his car
cars.
at the front?
Yeah.
That is
yeah.
That is pretty cool.
It's a sick car. And when he got that, I think that was the beginning for me of really starting to appreciate old cars specifically, because they're so beautiful, and the way they looked back then and the shape of them and the colours of them is just so much more beautiful than cars these days. They were just so gorgeous and just so much character. And now every time I see a vintage car drive past, I'm like, that's a sick car. And yeah, so I just love cars. I love old cars. And I love painting them. So I decided to just paint a bunch of them on cups, and it's been really well received so far. So, yeah.
And like you said, like it opens up your aperture to now, I'm sure you like never don't notice an old car drive by.
Fully. And now I'm like, oh, that's a cool car. What actually is that car? What's it called? Rather than it just being a cool car. Like, yeah, I've really, since working on this collection, I noticed so many cars all over the place, like take photos of them, add them to the collection. Yeah, so it's been nice going about it that way, and just the repetition as well. Like, it's been a little mini study in drawing this one thing from the same perspective, but just the same thing, slightly different car model, practicing, and I'm way better at drawing cars now than I was a month ago.
Like, do you think you'll keep doing this way of rolling out work?
I reckon for the foreseeable future. It really excites me doing, like, this is a bit of a segue, it's a bit of a side note, but...
Tangents are great.
Tangent, yeah. I'll try and remember where I was going with this and get back
it's
to the point at the end.
I think that's the point of podcasts.
yeah, true. I've always loved ads, TV ads. I've always really appreciated really good ads. And I think in another life, I should have been in marketing, because I just think ads are great. Like, I cry watching ads sometimes, or I laugh, or like I look up an ad on YouTube and be like, such a great ad. So I love marketing, and I love putting together little reels and things that advertise my work. And so now that I'm deciding to put curated collections of work together, I just know that making little ads for them is going to be so fun.
Do you think that's helped build your brand though?
Yes, I think it has. Yeah.
Which I think that's a part that a lot of creatives shy away from, is not seeing that creative part of marketing.
Yes.
And I struggle with it. Like, but I think, if you find that passion and that same like expression of yourself in the marketing, there's no reason to not like lean in. Yeah,
and like people on the internet respond so well to a new voice and a new idea and a new way of advertising. And so if you can I've found that the things I've put out that are just authentically just me, they've done really well, because they must just speak to people, you know, like there's so many trends on Instagram that are great and really funny and awesome and all that. But yeah, I think if the posts that I've put on Instagram that have gotten the best feedback are the ones where it's just been my own little marketing idea, and it can be so fun marketing your work, taking videos, and I always get my friends involved or get them as models, and I just love it. It's so fun. Yeah.
Do you have like another themed collection
Yes.
planned?
Yes.
And are you just like picking things that you're like obsessing over? And
Yeah,
like, you know what,
little
this is
bit.
an excuse
Yeah, a
to
little
geek
bit.
out about this.
My next one is going to be rude mermaids.
Right.
So just mermaids sticking their finger up, or like, you know, piece of power. I've done a few of those in the past, and
I think there's a market for that.
I think there is. Yes, I'll just do big bunch of rude mermaids, and yeah.
Are you going to purchase like a mermaid tail for marketing?
You have read my mind. Yes, that is what I'm going to do. Do you know anyone who's...
I'm sure, Alex, I feel like we're in the right part of the world for somebody to have like a mermaid tail.
Yeah, well,
around.
if you're listening, you have a mermaid tail. I need it for my next photo shoot. Riley's big into sewing at the moment. So,
yeah, right.
Just before you got here, actually, I was on ChatGPT. Oh my gosh. Getting ChatGPT to make me a pattern for a mermaid tail. So if worst comes to worst, it may end up being...
That would be like obviously creating a brand and people buy what you've done. If Riley becomes like the mermaid tail guy.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Interesting new career path.
Very unforeseen. We'll see. Riley is a big part of Chickies, does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So
Shout
out Riley, he does so much for me and for Chicky. God love him.
And you mentioned another part of kind of making a life as a creative is workshops. Is that like a new thing for you? Have you been doing those for a while?
That's a new thing for me, yeah. I've only done one so far, and I've got another one coming up on the weekend. So that has been very new, and I'm just still figuring out what that looks like for me. Teaching pottery is something that I really love doing, and it's one of those things that when I'm doing it, the time just flies, and I think I've got a bit of a knack for teaching people how to do it, and I just love watching people fall in love with it. But it's tricky at the moment with workshops. I guess it's always tricky with workshops because you've got to find something that people really want to do. So it's hard to put yourself, I think, in the customer's shoes and in the beginner's shoes, back in the beginner's shoes. And it's been a crazy full circle for me because, like I mentioned at the beginning of this chat, when I first did a pottery class, it was at Summertown Studio, and now I'm teaching pottery classes at Summertown Studio. So it's been, a really cool little full circle moment, just as an aside, doing that. But yeah, it's one of those things where I need to just keep going with the workshops and refining them and figuring out what people want to learn. Yeah.
Because not everyone is going to have the reaction you did if their piece blows up. It's not going to
they're going to be like,
slingshot somebody into a career as a ceramic artist. It might be the last time they ever do it.
Yeah, and I really try to hone forward in my little workshop that I'm running at the moment that the purpose of this is not to come away with a plate, because that's what it is. It's called Make a Plate. The purpose isn't to come away with a plate. The purpose is to have a really nice time while you're here and spend 3 hours just being creative and spending some time for yourself. And the first one that I did a couple of months ago, there was people that had just gifted it to themselves and had rocked up on their own and had given this as a gift for themselves. And that is just what I want. I just want people to come or mums that this is the first time they've been away from their baby and they've decided to gift themselves a really nice morning, and that's really that's I think where the value comes out of the ticket, is just having a really nice, relaxing time where hopefully I just want it to feel for people who are doing my workshop like everything's taken care of and they can just let the world just fade away outside of the room and have a nice creative time. So really, really hone that forward early, because there's always the risk that things could go wrong at at any point in the process. And we do it down in town, this workshop. So we have to transport all these plates back here along Goolwa Road. Like, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
In the tray of Riley's car. So as soon as they leave Summertown studio, it's like, good luck, guys. I really hope you get back to the person that made you. But the last workshop that I did, they were all fine.
Amazing.
So praying that happens continues to happen.
And that's the thing, like, there might be someone in that class like you who's like, this is it, this is what I want to do, full circle. Did you have anyone, obviously besides whoever your teacher was in that very first class, that had like a big impact on you? You obviously mentioned you're really inspired by Gerry and his work, but was there anyone who was maybe a bit of a mentor to you?
I was thinking about this, and I've never had a mentor.
Right.
Yeah, I've never had a teacher, and I've never had a mentor. Yeah, it's like something I'd really love. It just hasn't happened. Yeah, so I think I'm really someone who, for better or for worse, not to sound so cheesy, but that things happen for a reason. I really think that. And so, like, I know that when a mentor comes into my life, it's going to be a really organic thing. And like, I've had people that have been mentors for me for short periods in my life. Like, I used to have a little studio space out the back of Small Circle, and Gut Health is right next to Small Circle in Port Elliot. And at that time, there was a man there called Joseph who worked there, who makes pottery under the name Stick in the Mud. I think he maybe doesn't make it under the name Stick in the Mud anymore, but that was his name at the time. And
I think it's still his Instagram, Joe Boas.
Yeah?
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Shout out Joe.
Shout out Joe, lovely guy. And so, yeah, we figured out that we were both potters, and he'd come out on his break and stick his head in, and every time he stuck his head in, I'd get some pearl of wisdom that was really useful to know. And so I've kind of come into the orbit of mentors here and there in my life, but I haven't had one mentor that I have gone back to, like for a long period. So yeah, I don't even really know how that whole world works, to be honest, the mentoring world. I'm not sure if it is supposed to be more of a formal thing or if it's meant to be more of a casual thing. I guess I'll just wait and see what happens for me.
I think it's both. I think that's something that's really wonderful and unique about the art world, is a lot of creatives do mentorships as ways to supplement their income. You can get grants, like personal development grants, to get mentors. And this is, I think, I've had this experience and it was an incredible experience. I think just reaching out to people whose work you admire, and especially like going about getting a grant, because then it's I think a really beautiful, like, they would probably do it for free, but they shouldn't have to. And it's really nice that there are ways to, get grants to be able to pay people who you really admire to share their wisdom and their experience. And again, most people would probably be happy to do it for free, but also, them getting paid is good for everyone.
Totally, yeah, it's something that I will think about in the near future, I think. Like, I think I've mentioned it already that I'm probably in a bit of an era at the moment of taking myself a little bit more seriously. So doing things like this and doing collabs, doing workshops, just putting a few different balls in motion, not just doing the same thing and expecting it to all just explode.
And moving into gallery spaces as well, because it has been primarily online, correct?
Yeah.
And now, into the gallery world. What's that experience been like?
Oh, it's been so eye-opening. Having my eyes open to the art world at large has been really eye-opening, and I was really naive to it for a long time. My presence was 100% on Instagram. I would honestly say it was 100% Instagram, and I didn't have a community of artists around me, and I didn't know much about the art scene, and I wasn't engaging in the art scene. I just was making art, and I've started engaging in the art scene, and the more I engage, it's like the more you give, the more you get. It looks after you if you look after it. I'm really finding that if you just go out there, doors just open left, right and centre in this amazing state and in this amazing place. There's people doing great stuff everywhere. Like, yeah, I've recently been spending a bit more time at Goodbank and they had a professional development course that they ran, and put my name in the hat, put my name in for that, and got a position. And it just blows me away how there's so many doers just doing stuff, and the guys at Goodbank, Declan and Zoe, are those people. They're just doing stuff and opening doors for people, and they opened that door for me, and so many doors have been opened as a result of it, and I've just learnt so much. And even just like flicking through the Sala magazine up there, I've just been like, how is there so much amazing creative stuff going on that I never knew about? So I'm really excited to just keep engaging with the art scene in SA and in Adelaide and down in the Fleurieu. There's so many creative people down here.
I think that's a good bookmark for anyone listening is get out there, go meet other artists. And I think it's obviously, I hope people listen to this anywhere and get something out of it, but specifically for people in SA, I think we kind of get forgotten about over here, but there is such an incredible art scene, and there's so many amazing artists here doing such cool stuff.
There is. When we moved down here recently, well, in the last year and a half, I was so amazed at how many people in their late 20s, early 30s have their own business. So many people have their own business or their own side hustle, I guess. But that was just so inspiring. People are just out there doing it. It was so cool to see, and just rubs off. You can't help but have that rub off on you, that just creativity and drive and just doing it. It's cool.
But you're one of them.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I am, yeah.
So do you have any advice for people who want to take that leap? Any emerging creatives or, yeah?
I'm sure I have heaps of advice. I think the best thing that you can do is just do it and just start. Don't wait to be good at something to start posting about it on Instagram, or don't wait to be good at something to start talking about it with people. Just do it. Put your name up for things, sign up for things, apply for art prizes, apply for, whatever, competitions, or just say yes to things. And you never know, you might actually get picked. And once you get that little bit of momentum, it leads to the next thing. So yeah, obviously when you first start, it's really scary, and there's it's such a vulnerable thing to offer your creative, your creative output to people. It's really scary because people can then decide to like it or not like it. And so I think just, if you love what you do, you should love what you do, and find an avenue that you love and you feel passionate about, and hold on to that and protect it. And then, second to that, put it out there and say yes to things. And yeah, go for it, really. Because I don't know if it's an essay thing or just a thing, but when you start something, people really get around it. I love that saying, build it and they will come. It's so true. They will come. If you do it, that people are going to come and people are going to love it. So just do it. You'll be successful. There's no way you can't be if you really believe in it, and if you have a passion. Yeah, it feels like weird saying some of this stuff because I feel like I'm just so new to it still. Even though I've been doing it for 5 years, I still feel like I'm just starting to figure it out. So, yeah.
But I think like that was a big reason I wanted to do this podcast. There's podcasts that exist with like the top 0.01% of people in their field. But I think people who've found, quote unquote, success that maybe aren't that far along might have way more to offer because they're actually not that much further along the path than people who are just starting out. So I think their advice can be a little more poignant maybe.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of the people probably that you interview and just people down here and just creative people in general are right on the precipice of things like really taking off, and it's cool to think that maybe some of the people that you interview 10 years down the line will be huge names, and I'm sure some of them will be. Like, it's amazing to get insight into people that are just still figuring it out and it's just on their journey. It's great, it's inspiring, and you always look up to people that are a little bit further along the journey to you, and no matter where you are on the journey, like there's people that would look up to me and there's a lot of people that I look up to. So yeah, it's just great to have that spectrum of different experiences. It's all really valuable, and at the end of the day, like, really the reason why I do pottery is to just have a creative, delicious life and enjoy expressing my interpretation of things. So that's really the win. That's like the best bit.
So 5 years from now, what does it look like?
Oh my gosh. I will be better at pots than I am right now. And I think that's about it. I'm going to be better. I'll be
that's
better
a pretty
at
safe
it.
bet.
Yeah. It is a very safe bet, isn't it? Yeah, that's about it in terms of my creative work. I know that I'm going to be better than I am right now.
What about like your creative life? Like, what does it look like?
Oh, this is tricky.
Hopefully your current boss doesn't listen to this.
Right? No, my bosses are really chill. They'd be like, yeah, let's go. I think I would love to, in whatever capacity it is, I don't want to put anything out into the universe that I'm not 100% sure about, but in whatever capacity it might be, I'd like to be known for what I do, like have a bit of a name for myself and have some great projects under my belt and have done some big projects that I'm really proud of. Probably have a couple of kids by then and have other things going on in my life. But yeah, I'd like to just keep getting better and better at being an artist, and it would be awesome to be a full-time artist. It would be awesome. So maybe that's where I'll be. We'll see.
Is there anything else you want to mention? Anything else you want to shout out, speak about?
Oh, shout outs. I guess some more people that have inspired me. Narelle and Trent from Chilli Octopus, photographers who I briefly spoke with you about the other day. Awesome photos, awesome storytelling, and really cool people as well. Chantell Murphy, good friend of mine, was an early influence on my pots and taught me a couple of her skills in pots. Love her as a person and look up to her a lot. And just shout out to all the like great people down here doing like really cool things. There's honestly too many to mention, but yeah, so many great friends that influence me heaps, like Nathan doing his sick thing, walking along the beaches, cleaning up the beaches. I don't know if he talked to you about that in the podcast, did he?
No, but I've been like shouting it out
It's
all
so
over
cool.
the podcast.
Yeah. Shout out to all those guys.
Yeah, great.
Random little collection of people. Shout out to Riley for giving me so much support. Shout out to my family and yeah.
Cool. Where's the best place for people to find you?
On Instagram, on the gram.
Chicky Ceramics?
Chicky Ceramics. I think it's chicky.ceramics, but yeah, Chicky Ceramics.
Awesome.
You'll find me there. That's where I post. Yeah, I really like posting on Instagram. So yeah, you'll see a lot of my work on there. And then second to that, my website.
Awesome. Millie, thank you so much.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank
great.
you so much for having me on.
I want to take a moment to acknowledge that this episode was recorded on Ngarrindjeri land on the Fleurieu Peninsula. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and as always, just thank you for all the support. It's been pretty incredible as I see kind of the number of downloads tick over. They're just numbers that are really awesome. Like, it's really cool to think that many people have taken the time out of their day to sit and listen to some of these incredible creative people talk. So yeah, thank you so much. Keep supporting the podcast. Follow along on socials. Head over to the Heaps Creative Substack. Once a month you see the newsletter where I kind of take a bit of a deeper dive into the guests from the past month. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.